Chris, what a treat tonight. Here we are in Mr. Beck's loft. He has graciously set aside his living room for us. And we have some guests here for hockey night in Westborough. We have the coaching staff for the varsity team.
Wow. How did you pull off this highly sought after interview?
Pulled a lot of strings, a lot of phone calls, one text message, two carrier pigeons, something about a partridge in a pear tree. It took a lot, but these guys are gracious enough to be here. Can't thank them enough to talk about Westborough hockey.
Fantastic. Rob, kick it off.
Kick it off? Well, first of all, guys, really appreciate you taking the time to come out.
Yep.
Had your first practice tonight. Like I said, I'm impressed you let the guys have some time with the pucks and just skate them. That was the old days. Chris would thrive in that. I would be hiding in the corner, puking. So let's talk about hockey before you guys got to Westborough. You guys have been playing the game for a while. Talk about your careers. What led you to this spot?
So I actually first started playing for the Westborough Royals.
Wow.
We played in the outdoor rink where Bernie and Phil's are.
What?
There was an outdoor rink there. Bernie and Phil's my first year playing, 1970-ish, 71. And then we went to the Rochford rink in Ashland for 2 years, and then they finally built this rink in 74. So I played here, and when I was a first year squirt, a second year squirt, I went to go play. I left Westborough and played for the Worcester Pee Wee youth hockey, and I played 5 games as a defenseman. The goalie didn't show up, so I had to play goal. Unfortunately, I got a shutout. I'm not gonna tell you I had one shot, but I had one shot. I think it was an icing at the old Milford rink, and from that point on, I played goal, and then I played for the Crusaders, the St. John's, and then I went to the Northwood School in Lake Placid, and then I played 4 years at Rochester Institute of Technology. I got out of college, and I did 1 year helping with the coaching staff when I got back to Westborough. And then the position opened up in 92, 93, and I took it up until 2002. And then I remember my kid scored a hat trick, my oldest boy, and I think he had 5 career goals and he had 3 in one game, and I missed it, and I said I'm never going to miss one of my son's games again. And Coach Belbin was there as my assistant. He took over and brought the program to better heights, and they had a really good run for 5, 6, 7 years. They were very competitive, and they were very good, and then when he left, Coach Temple took over, and then he hurt his knee, and Coach Belvin was up, hey, you want to coach one more time? I'm like, I'll do 1 year. That was 8, 9 years ago.
Longest year of your life?
And then what stunk was my son decided to play for Shrewsbury, like after I decided Westborough. So I actually, I coached, Ed wasn't helping me then, so I actually coached against my son Sean and David, who's now the assistant, and Sean got a goal, and he went by me and chirped, and he got a misconduct. I go to the ref, I go, what are you doing? He goes, you're arguing about a penalty on the other team? I said, it's my son. But that was quite an experience coaching against my son. It was fun, and each year since then it's been a blast, and I've had a great time. Last year it was really a cherry on top of the Sunday. It was a great year. Usually my favorite teams, we win 3 or 4 games, and last year's team was one of my favorite, and we won, so it made it extra special. So that's basically it in a nutshell.
Well, I love when you heard the goaltending story, because I love to hear how people ended up starting as goaltender.
Yeah, I was.
And it's usually goalie by necessity.
Yeah, the kid had a mono, so I played goal, and like I said, I got a shutout, and it was at Milford, and I think it was an icing, and I still got the puck.
I couldn't believe when Rob sent over the RIT credentials.
I was going to say, think you're selling yourself
Chet
a little
Hallice,
short.
when I was a little guy, very intimidating figure to me. Never knew you played goal. That's fantastic. So let's go back. We went really quick. This is like my story on Essen. Let's
Back to Sweden.
Your matriculation through hockey was quick there. You played on several teams. In high school, you went where?
St. John's.
Okay, you went to St. John's Prep in Shrewsbury?
St. John's Shrewsbury, not St. John's Prep, St. John's Shrewsbury.
It's not Prep. That's called St. John's.
St. John's.
Got it. Then you went somewhere else.
Northwood School in Lake Placid, New York.
That's where Jimmy Campbell went, didn't
Yes, and Eddie Campbell went there.
Yeah, awesome.
I went there for 1 year. Do you remember the McCabe's in town?
That sounds familiar.
They lived off of Pinecrest, and he was on the board of his roommate, college roommate at Belbin, was the headmaster, and that's how I got connected to Northwood. Mike Odessa was a coach at RPI, really liked me a lot because you get your grades up, so he recommended me to Northwood. I never heard of Northwood, but that year helped me out tremendously. I loved it. It helped me grow academically, and I can remember one game we were playing Clarkson. Back then, JV hockey was big.
Yeah.
And we played JV teams, but they would drop their third and fourth lines to play us. And I remember they scored on me with 10 seconds.
College team.
Yes.
Teams, yeah.
And they scored with 10 seconds to go on me, and we're in the Olympic arena. And I let a few words out, and the headmaster comes up to me and goes, "Hey, great game. I'm really proud of you, but if you ever say that again, you'll never play ever again at the school. I'll drive you home." And I learned a valuable lesson then. It really, I thank Mr. Freelander every time I think of that, and he helped me grow up a lot as a young man, and I really appreciate it. So that year of school really helped me academically and grow up as a it helped me prepare me for college.
And RIT, a very good school.
Yeah.
Real serious.
Yeah. I was there for criminal justice. My wife was engineering.
Fantastic.
Well, and that hockey career has a bit of an exclamation point on it, if my research is correct.
Yeah, my freshman year we won the national championship.
Holy.
I was fortunate enough to be the goalie.
Really?
Yep, and it was the highlight of my hockey career. Those guys, we still in contact today. We were golfing, a bunch of us this summer 2 or 3 times, and then I call them my brothers for life. And it was a great 4 years there. I was very fortunate to play with some great players and some great teams, and it was a great life experience, and I'll never forget it.
Did you play anyone that the fans would maybe know of back in
In
those
college,
days? Yeah.
when I was at RIT, there was no Division II school. You didn't have a lot of the schools you have
Right.
now, so we'd play 11 Division I games a year.
Right.
So we play RPI, Clarkson, St. Lawrence, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Bowling Green. So I'm sure there were guys that had pretty good careers that we played against, and it was great. And the problem with us, like RIT, I was the biggest kid on the team. I was the goalie, so we had all these little kids that could fly. And when you played the bigger Division I schools, they had a tough time the back-to-back nights. But some of these kids were phenomenal. I mean, they were great hockey players. And Blaze McDonald was my captain my freshman year.
Wow.
And he's now at Colby, and he was a great captain. Chris Johnstone was the school's all-time leading scorer. I always tell the captains about him. He was the best captain, best leader I ever played for. When our team got inducted to the Hall of Fame a couple years ago, and I gave him a big hug. I said, "Chris, I still talk about you to my players today. He meant that much to me, even though he's a Leaf fan." Every time the Leafs lose, I give him a little text.
There is a little bit of
I give him a
joy in
little
watching
text.
Leaf fans suffer.
Yeah.
I love watching them congregate in that area, that
Oh,
mall
during
outside
the
the
playoffs,
yeah,
yeah.
that is great.
But he was a great leader, and if anyone can, I talk to the captains, I tell them about him, and he was just a fantastic leader, a fantastic guy, and I was lucky to play under him for 1 year as my captain.
Did you play college hockey?
Briefly,
Where?
at St. Anne's.
Yeah.
At St. Anne's.
So the rumor was you were passionate and would get into that rink off hours and skate and skate and skate. That's what my mother would tell me.
It's a great story.
He was
in the library.
It's a great
True
story.
story.
The
I can see a
library.
Hallmark movie.
It was.
No, it's not really the case.
Well, any hockey player is going to find any ice they can. I bet you always check the doors of the rink, see if you can get out there. Maybe, I don't know, Chris.
St. A's has a great program. Again, people don't know some of these Division III schools and how good the hockey. Both of you, hockey, did it have anything to do with the evolution of your careers?
It is my career. I knew I wanted to teach and coach.
And
That's precisely. And I took deliberate steps to do that throughout my college experience.
How old were you when you knew it? This is kind of my calling.
Probably somewhere mid through college. I toyed with the idea through college, and then it became kind of clear that one, I had this incredible passion I could not shake, and that's hockey. And as hockey guys,
Yeah,
it's
right.
it's in you and you can't get it out. Had an opportunity to coach some younger kids, like Pee Wee level, and I was like, I can do this. This is pretty good. Had an opportunity in college where we had a coaching change. My career was over, and we had a guy come in who just won a national championship at RPI, and I hitched myself to his wagon and said, I want to learn from you, and he brought me in as like a student assistant coach. It was an unbelievable career that he had, and then he shared all that with me. So I had access to a real high-level coach that had played in the NHL and the like, that a lot of kids, even who were playing, didn't have that access because I wasn't a player that had negotiated that relationship. I was his assistant, and that was just an unbelievable relationship to have. And when I got the hook there, it was like, yeah, I'm headed to education, and I'm going to coach. And being a coach, I think, made me a much better classroom teacher, and being a classroom teacher just made me a better coach. So they're really symbiotic.
Is that how you got to Westborough? Teaching first or coaching?
Teaching.
Yeah. High school?
Yeah, right here in Westborough. So I was teaching up in New Hampshire for several years. Decided to get closer to my wife's family in Westborough, my family in Rhode Island. Had an opportunity at Westborough and took advantage of it. And shall I share our bromance story? So I'd never met Chet before in my life. I'd come down, and my wife and I were looking for a house.
His wife was in my grade growing up.
Okay.
We ended up looking around, searching. At the old time, you used to have little magazines of all the listings, and showed up at his front door because he was selling his house.
4th of July, calls me, we'll be there in 20 minutes. I'm like, go ahead.
May have had.
If you're going to put a house for sale, you got to get everything ready.
Yeah. So, we met, and he was the hockey coach. Started going to Westborough. I'm happy to help out, and I give Chet so much credit because he didn't know me from really anybody. He says, "Well, come on, and help me out," and we hit it off right away.
Did you raise the price of the house or decrease the price of the house?
I took I sold at the wrong time, and I took a little. He didn't buy it. We took a little hit on that house, but I made up for it in my other house.
So that's the story how we got to know each other. Coached, and that was the fall of '96 is when we started coaching together. And our kids are all the same age. Our kids went to the same elementary school. Our kids are playing in the same hockey organization. We're coaching our kids together, coaching the kids here at Westborough. So we've been doing this a long time.
That's
But
awesome.
it all started with just kind of a chance encounter. He was selling his house, and we were looking for a house, and that's how it started.
That is a great story.
And your question, did it help me? I don't know if you know my father. He coached throughout Westborough. From 1960, he coached everything, and from girls softball to men's softball to CYC basketball, Red Devils football, baseball, Pawnee League, senior youth. So that's I always wanted to be a police officer since I was 5 years old, and I never thought I'd be coaching a high school hockey team. Like I said, I was working one night, and I came to the rink, and I was working in detail, and I met with the coach. I forget who it was.
Shillelagh?
Yeah. And I said, hey, I played hockey. Do you want some help? So I came to a couple practices, helped out, and then was that your year?
I don't know. I didn't play senior year, but if you saw him on the ice, you would have left. So I.
So that was
I'm teasing.
Steve
No,
would have
no.
been Steve LeBlanc's junior year.
Okay, so that was 10 years
So
after.
we would have just left, but I thought Bob Shillelagh's last year was our senior year. But
No, he
it's
left.
right
He left
there.
in 91, 92 because I took over 92, 93.
Okay, so
Just
it
missed.
just missed. We could have derailed your entire coaching career.
And
that clown show.
And I knew Mr. Mooney very well, and he called me up and says, would you be interested in coaching the hockey team? So I met with Bill Walsh, who was the athletic director,
Yeah.
and he gave me the job, and I never coached before. I was 2 years out of college, and I learned a lot. We kept we had some issues with the program. They were ready to cancel the program.
Yeah.
And,
Mr. Walsh would threaten it every year
Yeah.
from my freshman year on. Chris, go get me a few more players.
Yeah.
We're going to cut the program. That was like, you
that is-
need the ice, you need the time. Have you noticed, have rivalries changed since those days? Are you still rivals with the same schools, the Algonquins, the Marlboros?
I think they are. I mean,
Yes.
yes. The league, a lot of these kids play together,
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
so they know each other. I went to St. John's, St. Peter's. We hated St. Peter's. They had very good hockey. But I grew up playing with those kids, and then I played against them, and it was a mutual respect. Even though it's a rivalry, it's a mutual respect. I mean, it's nothing better than beating your rival.
Oh, that was great. We watched that Algonquin game last year.
Oh.
Right? That great hockey game, great
That was-
ending.
the place
And
was
afterwards,
electric.
those guys would come out and hug their opponents because, like, to your point, they've been playing with each other since they were mites. And, Chris, we talked to some of the players coming off the ice the other day, and we asked them who were their favorite opponents to play against. Algonquin, #1 every time. So that rivalry is certainly alive and well.
And that was of all the games of coaches. That's right up there as #1. I was so happy for those
What a
kids,
game.
and it was a special night. It's a special night for me because I know Matt and I know his family, and having his parents there. And unfortunately, we didn't do the ice bucket this year, so it was the first time we didn't do the dunking. But I was so happy for those kids. They had the video last year at the banquet, and them jumping on it. It just
Wow.
it was very special. Even all the games I played, coach, that's going to be right up there in the top 5 games. It's a coach.
And hopefully we get to see them again soon in the Burroughs Cup, right?
Yeah.
If things draw out the right way, which probably a good transition to last year's team. You talked about how it was a pretty successful year. You mentioned how this might be a stepping stone. Talk about last year's team, what made them the success they were, and how this year's team can kind of take that momentum and run with it.
Leadership. We had great leaders, great seniors. They were a great group of kids. I can't praise them enough. And if you have a great team that sticks together, you can go much farther than just talent alone. Like you talk about college, my freshman year, my sophomore year, we were better. We were a dominant team. We lost in double overtime to Bemidji State. But my freshman year, we were together. And I think that was a big difference last year. I haven't seen that in a long time at Westborough High, that the freshmen and the seniors were one group. And to me, it's the captains. I had great captains and a great senior class. And I think, I'm hoping the seniors this year learn from them, and now it's a continuation. And Ed will probably tell you, his best teams is because of the senior class. It just makes things so easy. I didn't go in the locker room once. Usually as a coach, you go check. Nope, I had no issues, 0 issues. I had 0 player meetings, nothing. I didn't have to do with the captains. It was a very special group of kids, and it was an awesome year. And they worked their butts off every single time they stepped on the ice. I never had a problem. Even the games we lost, no one outworked us, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They didn't quit. We could have quit against Norwood last year when Dylan got hurt, and they battled back, and they made it a game. Bounce here, bounce there. And usually at the end of the season, it's sad, but last year, it was in the heart. It was very hard to say goodbye to those kids. They were an awesome group of kids.
Yeah, transcended to the TV. Those were marvelous games to be at. You could feel the energy of that team.
I thought he was saying that we were special too. Our leadership. No,
Yeah.
apparently not.
No,
Might be
but
wrong.
it was honestly a pleasure to just be in the
great
arena
kids.
for some of the
I
games.
love
It
those
was
kids.
Just
I really
the
do.
energy in the buildings on a few of them. You almost had a heart attack.
Yeah.
You don't even know the kids. Just awesome group. So if I were to talk to someone coaching and they had played against Coach Belbin, what's the trademark of your teams? Do you
I would say Belbin, but I think what Chet and I have done consistently is I think we go from the net out. So we're a real.
both of you have the same philosophy?
I think so.
Goalie and a defenseman. Shocking news right there, huh?
No surprise there.
Yeah.
But I think we've always had this unique situation where we've had Chet as a very experienced goalie, obviously, who can teach well. We were really fortunate years ago. Greg Rorter was one of our assistant coaches as well. He was a goalie up at UNH. So we had this tandem of coaches that could take goalies that were fundamentally pretty sound, but now elevate them to another level. And not just be technically sound, but understand what was about to happen, anticipating the play. So that we've had a long string of really good goalies
Really have.
over the 25 years or 26 years or so
Yeah.
that we've been together. That's where you start, and then we concentrate very hard on the defensemen. Again, those defensemen get back in the corners, retrieve pucks. Can they make that first pass? That's what we're emphasizing out here practice today with the team. Yesterday, same thing. Get on top of the puck, make that first clean pass, get out of the zone, and go. And if you can make the clean entry, great. Sometimes in high school hockey, you don't have the horses to make those clean entries and maybe score on the rush, but you can get it by those defensemen, make those defensemen turn around and then go to work. And then get the puck back and punish them down low in the zone and eat up a lot of zone time. And that's, I think, we're really excited as coaches when a line comes off after having that shift. Minimal time in our zone, moving through the neutral zone well, and then hammering the other team in the offensive zone and keeping it low. And even if they don't come off with a goal or a shot, at least we know that they're eating up those minutes down below their red line, perhaps behind their goal line, and just wearing those teams down. And we promised the kids, if you don't score in the first period, don't worry about it. If we're not carrying a lead in the third period, it's okay. Keep that system up, keep that process up, and good things are going to happen. So I don't know if it's a trademark. I wouldn't go that far. I don't have that much faith in myself.
Patent pending, maybe.
Yeah, but I think those are the teams we're most proud of. Like we've had run and gun teams that could fly. And sometimes when you're a high school kid, that gets addictive.
Right.
Like let's go.
Yeah,
and
right.
you forget all the other responsibilities you have. So if we've got a team that's really defensively sound, and then can say, now you've got that, you've got that mastered. Now you can let the reins off, be as creative as you want on the offensive side of the rink, but be responsible when we don't have that puck on our end of the rink. I think that's really
As much as the defense is encouraged, we let them go. And I tell them, it's all right, and as you saw last year on better games, there were shifts that they could get out of the zone. And we'd change two lines, and the puck would get. To me, I love a team that force checks. I just love it. I think it creates a lot of problems with the D. I'm a believer as defense starts in the offensive zone and offense starts in the defensive zone. That's why that back to last year, there were some games, tenacious forecheck, and we get shots. Unfortunately, we didn't have that goal scorer. There were teams, like we outshot 2-1, 3-1, but we couldn't score. But I'll take those teams because they're in every single game. And hard work doesn't take a break. If in a slump, every batter goes in a slump. Every hockey player goes in a slump score, but hard work never goes in a slump.
That's right. You did. Remember, there were some lines that just the forecheck was so.
I rolled
tenacious.
4 lines. I never rolled 4 lines in all my years of coaching Westborough High, ever. And I throw all 4 lines last year with no issues.
Particularly with the way you coach, you heap praise on those shifts. So when kids come off, even though they haven't scored, sometimes it takes a kid a little time to mature into that. Like, well, I didn't do anything special. You did. You went out there and you played an excellent positional shift, a dogged shift where you ate up your defensive zone, you got down the offensive zone, and they come on the bench and he's all over them, and we're all over him. Like, that's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. And sometimes it takes a while to catch on. Like, oh, that was a heck of a shift, wasn't it? It's just a matter of breaking free of that. Maybe the elementary school version of hockey where I run around and deep people and score. Where now you're in a more sophisticated state of hockey and doing a good job shift by shift. And we'll come in the locker room like, that's excellent. Even if they didn't put up points, we're so pleased with the way you played, it's going to pay off. I think that's, if you ask about a hallmark, maybe that's it.
And I do coaches who say, we never play a team that works as hard as you. And that's a compliment.
There you go.
In the past couple of years, you deserve to win. They beat us, and the coaches tell us, you deserve to win.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a compliment to our kids.
And I tell you, it's hot. You could, hey, we lost 2-1, we outplayed them, you get frustrated, but it did not frustrate them last year. I mean, I don't want to talk too much, I don't want to talk about this year's team, but it did not frustrate them. They battled. I mean, we could have, Dylan out on the turret in the first 5 minutes of the game. We played Will York, hasn't played all year.
Imagine
And
that.
I'm not saying that it didn't help us. I don't like to make excuses, but we had almost 3 weeks off between games. And that hurts. And, hopefully they do a better job with the tournament. We know it was a better team than us. I'm not going to take anything away. But if you notice, in the third period, we got to start getting our legs.
You did. Momentum
And
was
those kids,
shifting quick.
Those kids, I mean, it was great.
It was a pretty even matched game. I mean,
Yeah.
Great
that
game.
was
Ebbed and flowed, that one. For
entertaining
sure.
game. I don't know if you were outmatched. I know their television station
Yeah.
outmatched us.
Yes.
Man,
They were bigger.
yeah.
It's a bigger kid. The guy goes, "Oh yeah, we had 85 kids try out. What you have?
Wow.
26.
Wow.
You know, you got 85 kids to choose from. It's a different animal inside 128.
It is. It is.
Rob has a lot of questions about this year's team.
Okay.
I'd just like to go back quickly. You know, you obviously don't draft these kids. You know, they come in and do you plan your offensive forecheck or anything around the players, or do you have a formula? Do you have a two-man forecheck, a 1-2-1? Like, is there anything that you stick with, or is it something that just evolves year to year depending on the team and line to line?
Well, I always have 3-4 checks. We practice it. I never go through we always do the aggressive. If we're going to lose, you know what? If we're going to lose,
I like that.
if we're going to lose, we're going to lose on my terms. You know, I don't play to lose. I play to win.
Even trailing, like in football,
Yeah.
you're not going to play the zone about 2 touchdowns. You're still going to go after the quarterback.
I mean,
That's offense.
if like in the last minute we might change, say, hey, the center, the third guy says hi. Do not go in. You know,
But you're still,
You're more adjustable than you give yourself credit for. We've got things in the deck and we've used them.
yeah.
But to your point about the kids, I think one of the great things that we love about high school hockey is, as coaches, I mean, the mental gymnastics being high school coaches, you have to adapt to what's in front of you.
Right.
So whatever you have for kids in front of you, you got to figure out that year what's going to work. And then sometimes it's going to be those kids, and it might be the opponent you're playing too.
Yeah, right.
And it might be by line. We have had years where we had a particular line. When that defensive pair goes up, they know they're running a particular forecheck because that's their particular strength. So that's the fun part, because you never in high school hockey you don't know what you're going to get every year and how that team's going to mesh together.
Absolutely. On to this year's team.
Yeah, so coming off last year's team with that success, first time the playoffs, you know, different format, of course, last year, but you know, playoff-bound team. What have you guys set for goals for this year's team?
we haven't had that conversation with the seniors yet in the team. We will. My goal is to go 24-0, win every game. But you know, realistically, my goal is for them is to compete every game, outwork the other team, and what happens, happens. I mean, obviously, I love to win the Burroughs Cup. I've never won it as a head coach. Edge won it 1 year. I think Westborough's only won it 1 year.
Wow.
All the years.
Definitely.
It's been elusive, yeah.
And, you know, I want that for the kids, not for me, but I want that for the kids. Also, I like to win a league. You know, you always want to win the league. And then what happens after that is all icing on the cake. You know, you go to the States and you win a game here, you win a game there, you never know what could happen. You know, it's you know, I'm a firm believer. It's their team. We're just here to help them reach their goals. So my goals are a little different from theirs, but I want them to be great hockey players, great students, a great role model for the school and the town. And those are my goals. Wins and losses are great. You know, I want to win more than anyone. You can ask my daughter. When we're 5 years old, I convinced her to give me Baltic for a Park Place. You know, I said purple's a pretty color than blue, and she gave it to me. So there isn't a person who wants to win more than me. But you know, I think we'll be successful. It's hard to tell because you don't know what other teams are like. You know, kids graduate, kids come in. You know, you really don't have a lot of scouting opportunities. But I would like them to be. I like them to win as many games as possible, make the playoffs. You know, win the Burroughs Cup, win their league, and then everything else is icing on the cake.
Well, you get to the heart of the matter. That as long as we've been together, the honor schools oftentimes we turn over to the kids. What is it you want? So we already know the kids are very concerned with
Oh, yeah,
that.
there's
they want a Burroughs Cup. Fantastic.
To a T when we talk to them,
that's cool.
it's Burroughs Cup.
For us, though, I think that the goals are bigger than the on-ice performance, and I think you hit upon that. I get 5 to 6 of them in my first period class tomorrow morning. I want those kids to be absolutely outstanding role models for the rest of the school. I want them to be outstanding role models for those little kids that are standing outside waiting to get on the ice after we get off from North Stars that are 2013 birth years because they're coming off days and they want a fist bump with them. We want to make sure that they're involved in community service, and that's been something we've done every year that we've been together as a coaching staff. So that type of like goals for the kids, we want them leaving the program loving hockey more than they ever did before at the end of the year, and secondly, that they're better people as a result of the hockey program. So we're going back generations now, and if those things aren't satisfied, then you can win any game you want, but to what end? So those are always the goals. We want these kids, and to be in love with the program, as you guys are, because one of the things I'm most proud of in the time that you and I started, we had, I think at one point we counted a dozen years worth of alumni that were playing together in men's league. It might have been up to 15 years. There was a gap of ages that was just astounding to me, but they're all playing on the Westborough men's league team again. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That you've got that kind of bond and that sense of belonging to the Westborough program. He said it, and I said it too. Like, you're part of this little family for life. Like, we're always going to be a Westborough hockey family, and no matter how old you get and how far away you've been, it's that's the goal always, and win a whole bunch of games along the way.
No. So keeping things on the ice with this year's team. Any dates on the calendar that pop out as kind of must-see TV? You know, we talked about the Burroughs Cup. We talked about rivalries with Algonquin. Anything else?
I looked at the schedule, and we got a couple games teams that we never played before. North Attleboro. And so he reached out to me, and he wanted to play us. Because we were successful last year, I had a lot more phone calls this year.
Isn't that great?
They want to play us, which normally they want to play because they want to win. But now because of the seedings and the rankings, power rankings, they want to play us. So we're playing Long Meadow, which I don't think I've ever coached against Long Meadow.
Once way back when.
Home game or an away game?
One's home, one's away. We
Oh,
played
so-
West Springfield, who was both of them. One was 16-4, one 17-3 last year. So
Good hockey out there, boy.
so one game's home, one's away. I feel which is which, to be honest with you. So
I think my back still hurts from taking those bus rides to the Wallace Civic Center. I can't imagine a long one like that.
I hated that ride. Yeah, every game I'm looking. It happens quick. Every year we tell these freshmen, you're going to be seniors, and it happens quick. And it happens very quick. I remember when these kids came in as freshmen, the sophomore year was the COVID year, which was a hard year. It wasn't easy for anyone. And those kids stuck with it, and they didn't get a lot of ice, a lot of practice, a lot of games, because I had to keep everyone separated. And so I think every game, there's a couple games, I'm looking forward a little bit more than others, but we'll keep that.
That's
inside.
fine now. You mentioned that Algonquin game when the kids got to celebrate in front of the student section. That seemed pretty special.
Oh, I mean, the fans, even in the down years, I was shocked at how many fans. There's nothing better than playing in front of a full house as a player.
Right.
It is awesome. And if you get two teams, it's a great game. I mean, Algonquin has great fans. We have great fans. It's just awesome. And when you play in front of a full house, I think our team, our student body supports us. They really support us well, and they do a great job. And I enjoy when I see it. What's nice about the benches here, you can see it.
Yeah.
They're not behind you. You can see it, and they really support us last year and years past, even when we had some down years. And they were always there. And I just think the student section really, the student body really supports us, and that's a tribute to these kids. They're good kids, and you good
It
kids.
speaks to the culture that
Yeah.
we're building and trying to develop with the program, right?
Yeah, and it's awesome. I mean, it really is. We're very fortunate.
We got a cool thing going at the high school. We got a good fan base for everybody. These kids will show up in big numbers for a girls' soccer game, a boys' soccer game, girls' volleyball. It's just over the top. We had so many kids. We had the state championship just a few days ago, and we must have had, I don't know what the official number was, but it was somewhere north of 200 kids, maybe 225, somewhere around there. They were phenomenal, and they do it the right way. We've seen other fan bases that don't, and our kids just do it the right way. And so when they show up, our kids show up at their games those kids are showing up at hockey games too. So we got a really cool thing going on.
It is cool, not being in the school and not knowing, and I see out there, like, it's very impressive. That's a tribute to them as kids, students. People want to support them, and it's fun. It's nothing better than playing a packed house.
Well, they stuck us on rink B with 6 people, and that included your mom and my mom too.
Well, it's funny. We've come a long way. We used to play games in rink B. I've had games in rink C.
Yeah.
But now we're ready for prime time. We're in rink A finally.
Speaking of rugby, we commentated our first year with the JV team during COVID, and it's just been watching these young men now become, a lot of them, the juniors and seniors. It's really kind of fun for us to watch these guys evolve. So
Yeah, I think
This would be a
technically
real
we're
s-
juniors. I think we're juniors this year, Chris.
what's that?
I think we're juniors. Right?
We are? Okay.
Yeah.
30.
No, but
Upperclassmen. Good kid to go to prom this year. That's nice.
wow, fantastic. I have a few unsanctioned questions. All right, I got a couple. All-time favorite Bruins player.
Well, Bobby is the best, but my favorite player was Johnny Busick,
Wow.
the Chief, number 9.
You want to see a
And then-
fighter?
No, he's goal
He's a
second.
tough one. I think I'm going to stay on Jonathan.
So I always wear baseball. My father engraved Ted Williams in my brain. So I always wore 9. In hockey, I wore 29, 19, because of Johnny Busick and Ted Williams. And 9 was my, and my daughter she wore 19 in softball.
So if they raise the 19 banner,
It's not you.
mine?
No, he did not wear it because you
Freddie
didn't
Lynn.
even know you existed, actually.
Freddie Lindholm, my favorite Bruin was Johnny Busick.
Johnny Busick.
I want to go back in time and romance what I watched in the 70s, but Bergeron is absolutely,
Yeah.
I think, the finest all-around hockey player I've ever seen play for the Bruins, and I just admire him on all.
Maybe
all
the
He's
most underestimated
the
athlete.
classiest. Yes, I'll.
From every level.
You
Class.
talk about class, and that's Bobby Orr, that's Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah,
What culture? How about for you, best goalie of all time?
Ken Dryden.
Really? Best Bruins goalie?
Is it hard to say that?
No, I'm 29. And I was a tall, and he used to do this.
I didn't
used
mind
to
the,
do-
I didn't
used to
mind the number
imitate
on the
him.
back. It's the front of that jersey. I don't
I went to
care.
Cornell, won a national championship and Stanley Cup the same year. Not many people can say
That's
that.
true.
Favorite Bruin goalie?
He likes Blaine Locker, but
Mike Moffat.
Mike Moffat.
I
okay.
played against Mike Moffat in college. He
Did
he went to
you?
Wilfrid Laurier after he got cut by the Bruins. I beat him, by the way.
That explains when he whiffed on the puck as a kid. Doug Keens.
Is which we call it? Blank. Tim Thomas. I just loved the way he played.
Unorthodox.
I loved it. And when he hit, what's it called?
Vancouver series?
I just, I
I have
have to say he's my
picture.
favorite Bruin goalie. I think he does not get the praise he should because he won that Stanley Cup.
Absolutely.
He won that Stanley Cup.
Absolutely.
Are you a Tuukka Rask like this guy
Oh.
here? I mean, he just can't give him a break. But
We're on TV. Okay.
yeah, all right. You love everybody. All right, my last question. Start with Coach Belbin. Your favorite pro sports team of all time, and why you like this year's team to emulate them, and what trademark of theirs
Oh, so over time.
over time, but most
Oh, boy.
your favorite
That's a
pro
hell of a
sports team. And
Boy, that first Patriots Super Bowl team had a thing going. That whole idea of the ultimate team
Yeah.
sport coming out of the Super
They
Bowl.
all came out together, right?
Coming together.
They were the first ones to do that.
I think that kind of
At a pretty important
exemplified-
time in our country's history.
Yeah, it responded to that particular moment with that particular crew. Nice example for kids about it's not about your individual abilities and getting called out on yourself. But, just love that whole mentality, a Troy Brownish type of mentality.
all
I
team.
love that idea.
Coach, you got one?
Does it have to be pro?
Yeah, no, any team, any sports team.
80 Olympic team.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
I could watch that movie Miracle. I could watch the documentaries. That and the close second was even though they were a bunch of idiots, the 04 Red Sox. I mean, how many people never get to see a World Series in this town? I mean, my father, my grandfather, all these people. And I can remember I cried when they won. Because, I was on the bus when I had to get the play-by-play to a bunch of New Yorkers in the Bill Buckner era. But that 04 Red Sox that really, I'll still watch it and I'll get goosebumps. And it was just a very, I made my kids, you're not going to bed. But Dad, I'm telling you, you're not going to bed. You're going to watch this. All the years we suffered. But the 80 Olympic team was just very special. And those two games, those two teams, when I watched the highlights, I still get goosebumps. But like I said, the Patriots team was, because we weren't expecting that, were we?
The underdogs, all about team.
Team first.
Well, Rob, anything to add?
Well, I know the post office pub gets nervous if you're not there within the next 10, 15 minutes, so we probably should let these gentlemen
Might be out
go.
of business. They have lost.
I'm sure your dinner's getting cold on the tabletop there. Anything else about this season? As we're sitting here, we're 2 days into a season, so it's tough to kind of forecast what's going to happen. I'm not going to stick you with how many wins, how many goals, anything like that. But what are we most looking forward to, and how do we see this shaking out?
You want to start?
The seniors. Now your moment. 3 years of building up, and now there's that final stage of growth. And I'm really eager to watch them grow into leadership positions on the ice, off the ice. I want to see how far they can push themselves. I've been watching them, like you guys. When I had my JV way back when, I'm really rooting for them. Really want to help them, but that's the thing I want to focus on most, is watching the seniors grow in that final stage here.
Yeah, and in fact, I had grabbed them all before they practiced today. And I said, this is your team, your year. It starts today. You practice harder than anyone. You're a role model to these younger players. If you don't work hard, they're not going to work hard. This is your team. How far you want to go is up to you. We will help you reach your goal, but it's ultimately their team. They've worked hard for it. They went through a tough couple. They lost their sophomore year.
Yep.
And freshmen, not many freshmen come into play. So think about it. Most of those seniors that were juniors was their first really high school experience last year. Because when they were freshmen, 1 or 2 played regularly. Sophomores, the COVID year. So last year was their first real year of hockey at high school level. And now I expect a big growth. We met with them at the end of the year, and I gave them individual goals. This is what I want from you. This is what we're looking for. I need you to score more goals. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And I put lofty goals in front of them, and hope it's. I'm always about the seniors, and the underclassmen owe them this. It's the thing I always say. You owe these seniors your best, because this is it for them. And if you don't work hard, you're letting them down. You're not letting me down. You're letting them down. So that's what I'm most looking forward to, the seniors. I'm very, very excited for them. There's a lot of peaks and valleys in a season. There always is, and it's easy when everything's up here. How do you react when it's down low? And we'll see. We're going to hit a rough patch, and we'll see how they respond. And I think they'll respond very well. And they're a great group of kids. They're very tight. They're very, very tight. They all hang out. That was the one thing I was, I had the captains, we interviewed the captains, for the captaincy that came in, and they're all very, very tight. And last year's class was tight, but this year's senior class, Lenny will tell you, they all hang out together. They're a tight group of kids, and that's a very dangerous.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for the time. Really appreciate you coming out.
And we appreciate what you guys do. I enjoy watching it. In fact,
We get all the jokes.
Yeah.
Kids do.
I tell my wife, the Norwich coaches hate our guts.
The Norwich coach.
Oh, I always say they must.
The Norwich coach comes up to me and goes, I watched your video. He goes, those guys